So Steve, there are a whole bunch of games out there that have connectivity between the Wii and the DS. And I feel like most people just kind of know the Pokemon ones, but there's a whole bunch more out there, a whole bunch in Japan as well, so we're going to go over absolutely everything. And a lot of this isn't very documented. There are some wikis out there, but they miss some of these games and they're very unspecific about what the features are exactly. So we're going to go over a bunch of history in something that's fairly undocumented on the internet.
That sounds really cool. I will admit, having done my research for this video, and you were definitely the main person doing this, I was surprised by how much different connectivity and functionality there is here. This is something that not only is not well documented, but something that contemporaneously back in that era, Nintendo just really didn't highlight. They didn't talk about this very much.
No, it was mostly Pokemon Battle Revolution. That was kind of the big pusher. We didn't have like one big DS and Wii game, kind of like GameCube did.
Yeah, exactly. GameCube is the system you think of when you think of, console and portable working together, because Nintendo just really, really wanted you to buy that link cable back in that generation. So you couldn't escape that image. And they were very forward, like at E3, at Space World, showing off that you could do this in so many different games. Whereas comparatively, even as someone who owned a Wii and a DS and was online back then, I don't remember Nintendo showing this off. Outside of Pokemon, like you said. That was the one case.
On GameCube, there was like Four Swords Adventures, Pac-Man Versus. They put it in Wind Waker. It's a very high-profile feature. But there are some really, really cool uses on Wii, and let's go over them. So the first bunch we actually covered before in a video called Miis on the DS. And so if you remember back, the DS didn't have a Mii Maker. 3DS does. But DS came out just before the Wii, so it predates Mii's. However, there's a few games that have pre-built Mii Makers within them, and you can also connect to your Wii and import your Miis to those games. So the way you do that is from the Mii Maker on the Wii, you hold down A, B, and 1, and then you press 2, and it unlocks a brand new feature about passing your Miis to the DS. And this can be used for Tamagotchi Collection, which is the very first Tamagotchi Life game. Also, Walk With Me, which is a pedometer game that came before Pokemon Soul Silver Heart Gold. You can make your own Miis or import them from the Wii. There's also a DSi Japan-only game called... I might need Steve for some of these pronunciations because he can speak Japanese. I think it's called Yosuke ID Healthy Mahjong. Is that right, Steve?
Very close. It would be Yosuke Ide.
Oh, there you go. That's why you're here.
That's
same thing. Custom Mii Maker, import your Miis. And then there's also a GPS game where Bluetooth is in the cartridge and it works with specific Japanese cars. And again, that's got a Mii Maker that you can import from your Wii as well. And that is Kuruma Day DS. Have I got that right?
Excellent. Well done.
Excellent. So those are all very, very basic, just importing your Miis from the Wii, but you are connecting to the Wii to do that. But let's go into some more exciting games. And I guess we'll begin with the most obvious ones, which is Pokemon. And with Pokemon Battle Revolution, there's two cool things you can do. One of them's a pretty basic one, which is just importing your Pokemon from Gen 4. So with Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, and Soul Silver Heart Gold, you can import all your Pokemon into the Wii and then use them in big 3D battles. And that's a lot more necessary than Stadium because the rental Pokemon are way less emphasized in Battle Revolution. So you've really got to, get Pokemon by importing them. But another cool way to do it is you can connect up to 4 DSs to the Wii and use the Pokemon that are already part of your party in Pearl or Diamond and just battle straight from your game cartridge on the Wii in 3D. So you could connect and do like a regular 2D battle on DS, or you can put it on the big screen and just do like 1v1 or 2v2 battles just without any faff, just using your Pokemon from your party already. And that's pretty rad.
That is rad. It's something that I never got to do back in the day. I don't think I even ended up getting Pokemon Battle Revolution back then. I had to be very choosy with my purchases, and but I did see this. Like we said at the top, this was one of the few uses of this feature that Nintendo was really proud of and showed off. I always wanted to do this though. It looks so cool, and it's such a rad idea when you think about it, just to be able to do that wirelessly. That I'm surprised it didn't push this feature further.
Yeah. You also get your trainers from the games in 3D as well. So in Battle Revolution, you make your own trainer, but you'll see like the male protagonist from Diamond and Pearl, or the female protagonist from Diamond and Pearl. And that's just a nice little detail. But this is the most known feature, so I won't spend too much time on this one. And perhaps the second most known one might be My Pokémon Ranch. And that is a WiiWare game, which is basically a big Pokemon box. And something that I forgot about this game is it's also a daily calendar game. So you can only store 20 Pokemon to begin with. But the more Pokemon you store and the more you visit this game, like every day your amount gets higher and higher. So it's quite an inconvenient Pokemon box, to be honest. But if you put a lot of time into this game, you can store up to 1,000 Pokemon. And you can just keep them on your Wii, store them there, bring them back to the DS. But I think that the thing this game's really known for is making those like really low poly Pokemon models that Pokemon Rumble would then go on to use. Yeah, this is really just a big Pokemon box though with a neat little aesthetic.
Which is, it's so funny because it predates, the various services that the Pokemon Company has used to get us to store Pokemon that are now paid, right? So like you could get this and it would be a one-time thing. But now you have to have some kind of recurring subscription to store your Pokemon. So kind of forward thinking in a way. Just wish that they kept this model because I would prefer to just store them on my Switch or Switch 2 and then pull them out rather than having to fork over a few bucks a month for probably forever to keep this type of functionality.
Pretty much. And this one actually isn't that well known because these are 3 Japan-only Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games. And I played these for the very first time recently. You get 3 different versions, one themed around fire, one themed around electric, and one themed around water. And they're very similar, but the Pokemon and mission structures are different. And the DS and Wii functionality here is you can connect your DS and use it like a controller. And when you're playing with the Wii remote, you have to sort of pause the game and go into a menu to use your moves. But on the DS, because it's used as a controller, the touchscreen's also used. And so all 4 of your moves are on the touchscreen, and you can just like prod them and use them in real time. So it's super convenient. Mystery Dungeon is so tied to handhelds. It was very much a DS thing. So playing it with the DS is just really natural. But what a rad little kind of missing game in the West.
Yeah, as somebody who, again, was in the West, I didn't even know about this. So this is really cool. The idea, again, these are things that Nintendo could have showcased really well during this era, and I'm just shocked that they didn't. Like Pokemon is kind of a slam dunk, and it's weird that they wouldn't bring this stateside or even to the UK. I would have loved to have this.
Mm-hmm. They are really, really cool games as well. But moving on to Animal Crossing, let's go to the city or city folk. You can transfer your villager when you first boot the game up. So when you're making your save file and making a villager, you can just say, I want my Wild guy to come over. And there's not a whole lot of utility to that, but you don't have to go through the process of saying, I'm a boy, I'm a girl. You get some of the features you had, but it's not like you're transferring everything. It's just kind of your guy. But there's also something I never used until now, which is DS Suitcase. And this is right on the main menu, but I never touched this option until making this video. And basically, when you use DS Suitcase, you can go to download play on your DS and basically store your Wii Island within your DS like a memory card. Take it to someone else's Wii and unpack it, and it's basically a dream island. So you can just take your DS, which is storing your Wii Island, to someone else's house, unpack it to their Wii, and they get to explore an offline state of your island. I didn't even know this was a thing, to be honest. Yeah,
I would say I'm probably the biggest Animal Crossing fan on the channel, and I didn't know about this. That's rad. I think it's just because I didn't really know anybody who also was playing Animal Crossing aside from my little sister, and by the time this came out, we were living very far apart from each other, so I couldn't just hop over to her house. And yeah, that feature had to be staring me in the face when I played this, but I like you, I just never thought to use it.
A lot of online Wii games, you can't just copy your save file because your friend code's tied to it. So this is a workaround to do that, I guess, and it's a pretty cool one. But moving on to Puyo Puyo 7, which is a Japan-only game, there's no local connectivity. But when you're playing online, DS and Wii players are in the exact same player pool. So this is crossplay back in 2008, 2009, which was very, very rare back then.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks will forget that, crossplay, even recently in the terms of gaming history, was not a standard, and it was almost unheard of back in 0809. Like, PlayStation very famously kind of stopped crossplay from being a thing for many, many years. And it wasn't even something people spoke about back in the early 2000s.
Yeah. We also have Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Echoes of Time. I don't know if you remember this one, Steve, but this is basically a DS game that was also on the Wii. And it is the most DS-looking game possible that's just, zoomed out to the big screen. It even has two screens that you can press plus and minus to zoom in and out. But it's literally a DS game that also got a Wii release. And you can play either online or locally between DS and Wii. It's also one of the few DS games that can use Miis as well, because there's a Mii mask in the Wii version. And if you're doing crossplay, that Mii mask appears on the DS's screen as well. But yeah, this is just a funny little game, because it's literally just a DS game.
Yeah, this is one of the ones I remember. I didn't think of it till I was looking straight at this list, but Crystal Chronicles famously is one of the games that best utilized the Game Boy Advance and GameCube connectivity back in that era when they were really pushing it. And so when I heard there was a new one coming out for the Wii and the DS, I picked up the Wii version. And I remember at the time being a bit disappointed because I was like, I should have grabbed this on the DS. It's just the DS game. But yeah, this is one of the few on this list that I actually knew about before then, just because I had actually played the game. It's cool that we have this, but yeah, the Wii game side of it felt a bit disappointing just because you were playing the exact same game and they did nothing to tailor it for the hardware.
Yeah, it's almost like you're playing an emulator, even though I'm pretty sure it's native. But moving on to Castlevania Judgment, which was the fighting game on Wii, and also the DS Castlevania Order of Ecclesia. And this one, on DS, you kind of get the short end of the stick. You connect the two, and you get some bonuses. On DS, you basically get all the stuff you get from completing the game on hard mode, which is to say your level cap goes up to 250. But on the Wii, you get an exclusive character. You get Shanoa, who is in the game already. I think you get that from beating Simon's story. But you also get Aeon, who is only obtainable through the connectivity feature. So if you've got Order of Ecclesia, you just get a brand new character in Judgment.
That is so cool. Like, these are games that to this day I haven't played, unfortunately. But it's interesting because that would qualify as DLC today. And getting it just for hooking up your DS to your system is super rad. Yeah.
And the majority of these games are going to be about Wii benefiting from DS stuff. But this one's kind of the reverse. This is WarioWare D.I.Y, which was a DS game primarily. But there's also a WiiWare game called WarioWare D.I.Y Showcase, where you can get all your games that you've made on DS and send them to your Wii and basically play them on the big screen. So it's a touchscreen focused game which becomes a pointer focused game, and all those little games that you've made can just be enjoyed on the big screen. You can send it to your friends on your Wii message board. You can get stuff from online. It's WarioWare D.I.Y. apart from you're not making anything, you're just playing them. So it's just a big screen version of the game. It's a pretty cool one.
I never did the connectivity with this one. I didn't even know that this was a thing. Nintendo could have sold me on this game so much more thoroughly if I had known about this.
Yeah. I followed Tales of Graces a lot growing up. I thought, the Wii was kind of anemic of big JRPGs, and I was really looking forward to this one. But it never came to the West. And so I finally got a Japanese copy. And I'm lucky I did, because it is a DS and Wii connectivity game. And you've got to play a while. You've got basically got to get into the adult portion of this game, so when the time skip happens. And when you go to Verona, there's a Turtles there, and they are only in the Wii version. So the HD versions don't have this NPC. And when you talk to them, I can't read the text, but I'm pretty sure she's saying, "Hey, I've got a DS mini game for you." And so you go to download play. You get basically a little DS mystery dungeon kind of game called Kamini Merchant. And you can turn the Wii off. You can just keep playing your DS until it runs out of battery. you just get this whole random game that plays nothing like Tales of Graces, but it's a pretty cool spin-off. And this did end up releasing on DSiWare like a year later, only in Japan as well. But you basically just get a whole bonus game within Tales of Graces for your DS.
And see, the fact that it came out as a retail product later kind of makes it cooler that it's there, because you essentially got something that you'd have to pay for later for free. I think that's super cool.
Very cool, yeah. And this is one of our few examples of kind of proto Wii U with DS and Wii Download Play with Driver San Francisco. So when you're playing, there's no DS option, but the Wii is always sending a download play signal. It's not really even advertised, just I guess you have to know about it. So if you go to download play on your DS, you'll find Driver San Francisco, and you basically get an interactive touchscreen map. You can zoom in and out, you can place waypoints without even pausing the game. So it's intended for a second player who can just sort of interact alongside you and guide you where to go. But there's also other things in there like roadblocks. You can just sort of, while you're chasing a car, you can put like a roadblock down so they crash into it. It's just, it's really neat, really interactive, and it's something we wouldn't really see until the Wii U era.
Yeah, this is something that I didn't know about until today, and I'm kind of jealous because I would have, again, this would have been an easy way to sell me Driver San Francisco on the Wii. Back, like you said, this is something that we wouldn't see until the next generation of consoles, where all of the big three really got into these second screen experiences. But this is essentially what a good use case for the Wii U was. Like, this is exactly what I would have wanted from a driver game on the console to follow the Wii. Yeah. So really, really cool that that's there. Would have loved to have known about this back then.
We've got more games like that down the line, but before we get there, here's just a Wii channel that you could always get, which is the Nintendo channel. And this was sort of like the Switch newsfeed, Nintendo Today kind of thing for the Wii. But it also had demos for the DS that you could browse on your Wii and then send to your DS via download play. And there's a whole bunch of these. There's like Kirby Mass Attack. There's a Mario Kart DS demo where everybody is Shy Guys, but you're just Mario, which is the reverse of how Mario Kart DS download play usually works. There's like few like older builds of certain games like Metroid Prime Hunters. But one that I tried out was Ghost Trick. And the interesting one about this is the Ghost Trick demo is specifically made for that game, for that build, I should say. And while it's based on a level within Ghost Trick, the puzzles are a bit different, the dialogue's different, it's self-referential to it being a demo. So it's like really, really unique, and it was only ever distributed through the Nintendo channel.
That is wild to me. I do remember the Nintendo channel. Fun fact about me, when the Wii and the DS came out, I was a young man working at Target. So part of my job was to work with like kiosks, like Nintendo demo kiosks. I was responsible for maintaining those. And then when our Nintendo person would come to the store, I had to like unlock it and give them access to swap out demo discs and stuff. And we had a DS demo kiosk, and I remember thinking that essentially having the Nintendo channel was like having one in your house, because you could just get demos from it and stream them to your DS, or download play them to your DS, and it felt like I was operating my own at-home kiosk because I could just try a bunch of stuff. I was unaware that they had, Ghost Trick was one of those games that I famously missed out on. So I wasn't aware that it had like its own bespoke demo that didn't reflect the final game, which kind of just makes that even cooler. Like, I wish I had thought to download that, because now I desperately wish I had played it.
We've also got Batman Bold and Brave, and this isn't download play. You've got to have the game both on Wii and DS. But when you do, the DS user can connect to the Wii and play as Batmite. And it's basically like Murphy in Rayman Legends, where the Wii users, they're doing the proper beat 'em up stuff, and then Batmite comes in and he can drop all these cartoon things like a giant anchor or some explosives. So you're floating around the screen just kind of helping the Wii user. So it's a cool like third player co-op thing.
Yeah, that is again something that would have been a very Wii U style thing. Like, you'd have two players on Wii remotes and then one player on the gamepad dropping stuff. So very cool to see kind of the seeds of what would eventually become Nintendo's next console in this generation, because it's something that I think a lot of us don't know about.
Yeah. MaBoShi for WiiWare is a game I didn't play until recently, and it's really cool. So when you're playing on the TV, there's 4 different displays, and this game has 3 simple games in them. And you can load any one of these 3 games into those displays, and each user can play them simultaneously against each other. So one person can be playing one game, another person playing another game, another playing another game. So it's just like kind of like couch co-op, but not really. You're just like playing different games adjacent to each other. But if you want to as well, you can send another person the game via download play, where you download the entire MaBoShi game to DS, and it's a bespoke version, like with original visuals, sort of downgraded for the DS. But this was never sold on DSi, where it never got a DS release. They just kind of made a whole DS version and let you download it as an extra. And it's got all the stuff that's in the Wii. And again, you can turn off your Wii and just keep playing it until the DS is out of battery. So yeah, what a funky little one that was.
Yeah, it's such a cool thing that they did this, and it's really clever because WiiWare games famously have an extremely low file size limitation.
Yeah.
I think it's like 40 megabytes or something like that. And just being able to pack not only a Wii game but technically an entire DS game into that you're almost kind of showing off at that point. That's really, really cool.
It's definitely showing off. Big Beach Sports. This is one of the many kind of like Wii Sports Resorts clones that were on the Wii. And I can't say I had the best time capturing footage for this one, but there is one cool feature where when you make your character, you can then connect to DS and draw on their face. So you can draw whatever you want on their face, and that's always going to be there while you're playing Big Beach Sports. So, I don't know, kind of cool.
Do I want to know what you drew?
I think I drew Sonic the Hedgehog on his face.
Oh, okay.
It could have been
That's
worse.
way more wholesome than I was expecting.
Geometry Wars Galaxies. This was released both on the Wii and the DS, and is the exact same game. And when you connect them, you get a bonus galaxy. So we're kind of saying about this earlier. It's basically DLC to reward you for having both copies. But also if your friend has a copy, that works too. But the cooler thing is in both versions of the game, both on DS and Wii, you can send a trial version to somebody else. So if you're playing on Wii, you can send a download play smaller version of Geometry Wars to the DS. If you're playing on DS, you can send it to another DS, but that's just a rad little like demo sharing thing. Band Hero, Guitar Hero 5, and Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock all basically have the exact same utility, where if you connect via download play, the DS user can impact the stage. So they can change the lights, the color scheme of them. They can do some visuals and just sort of change what's going on while you play music. But if you've got the games also on the DS, they can connect as another player. So the DS user can use their little Guitar Hero grip that went in the Game Boy Advance slot to play alongside the Wii user. So you get rewards for like owning the game twice, but also if you don't, you can just sort of interact and change the visuals a little bit. There's also the ability to change the playlist on the fly. So while people are making songs, you can keep adding what the next song is on the DS, making it it's a pretty cool like backseat watching feature.
It's kind of neat.
And then there's Ultimate Band, which I thought was part of this series, but it's not. It's a Disney game that's basically a Guitar Hero clone. And it does the exact same thing, where it's just like connect to DS and you can change the visuals on stage. So it definitely wasn't hiding what it was copying. And this one is not a Guitar Hero or Ultimate Band game. It's Jam with the Band, which is a first-party Nintendo game. And this is another one where the DS connects to the Wii. So it's a DS game, a rhythm game. And there's also, much like WarioWare D.I.Y, there's a WiiWare game called Jam with the Band Live. And it allows you to connect up to 8 DSs to a Wii and basically use it as a big screen with speakers. So instead of using the DS speakers, you use the Wii as one big sort of global output for all these systems. That's a pretty cool one too.
That is rad. I again, not something that I've ever seen, but that would have been a great way to play this.
Yeah. Kung Fu Panda Legendary Warriors. This you have to own both copies of the game. And on the wiki, it says unlock bonus characters. And I was rubbing my mitts together being like, oh, what bonus characters are these going to be? and it's just some guy called Ratgoon. He's just a little rat guy you can play as in multiplayer. So you got to get both copies to get Ratgoon.
Feels like a very 2026 insult.
Yeah, that's like, thanks for buying this game twice. Here's a rat. I might need your help for this pronunciation, Steve. This is a Mahjong game, our second one. How do you say this one?
This is Mahjong Kokuto Club Wii Wi-Fi Tayo.
Thank you for that. There's a few more games like this one where the DS basically gets its own screen, so you can't screen peek at what your other Mahjong users' tiles are. So it's just a nice way of getting around that. And it's something that Nintendo would do with Clubhouse games. They'd give you a download version for free that you could just use to play like Solitaire or Mahjong and not know what the other person has.
That is kind of the exact sales pitch for this type of thing that I would want. So many multiplayer games. I remember looking at my DS when I was playing certain games and being like, it would be really helpful if I could use this so people can't see what I'm doing. So kind of interesting that some developers did actually go that route and make that happen.
Yeah. And now we have our final English game. Everything else is Japanese after this. This is My Word Coach, which is a Ubisoft kind of brain training style game. It released on both the Wii and the DS. But on the Wii, you basically point and draw. So there's a certain game where you have to draw letters to fill in blanks. And if you want to, you can connect a DS, and instead of waving a Wii remote to get the letter, you can just do it on the touchscreen. And it's really, really responsive. And we've got a video up right now where you can see it just sort of happening in real time where I'm drawing on the DS, and immediately that letter's appearing on the TV screen. So that's a pretty rad one. And that's just download play, so even though this came out on both platforms, you don't have to own it twice, which is nice.
It's really cool because in a lot of games where you have to draw or write, the Wii remote's not ideal for that, whereas the DS touchscreen obviously is much better suited.
Yeah, especially when speed's off the essence, because it's going to insult your literacy ability at the end of it, so you need to be fast. Now, these all released in Japan only. We're talking about a game to begin with that did release in the West, but the DS and Wii bonus content was already in the Western version. So in Japan, Naruto Shippuden Dragon Blade Chronicles. So there were two of these. There was also one on the DS called Shinobi Rumble. And when I was testing this, because the wiki doesn't specify, I was like, there is no Wii connectivity. They lied to me. But it's only in the Japanese version, and you have to have finished the game as well. So I had to download a save file off the Japan version, which is harder to find than you'd think it would be. But once you've done that, there is a DS connectivity option on the Wii menu. Same with the DS game. Link them together. And on the Wii version, you get a new scroll, which gives you this crazy wind power. So just a little bonus for finishing everything and owning the game twice.
I wish I had known that, because fun fact, John, you didn't have to look very hard for a complete save file because I own the Japanese version of this game on the Wii, and I did beat it. In fact, I know exactly where the Wii that houses that save is right now because for some reason, being the crazy guy that I was, I desperately wanted a black Wii. And those originally launched in Japan in like a Monster Hunter bundle. And being the very choosy person I had to be about my purchases, I had to find reasons to use that black Wii that I bought. And I'm a huge Naruto fan, so I imported it along with this exact game. And I forced my way through it because my Japanese back then was not very good. And so I had to fight my way through this game. Fortunately, it's like a hack and slash action type game.
I had to go on the dark web to find this save file. I wish I just asked you.
Yep, I could have saved you some time. I've got it, but I did not know about this. So I'm gonna, at some point, obviously we're recording this just days before I leave for Summer Game Fest. When I get back, I'm going to test this connectivity myself. I have to know because I have both games. So I desperately want to get this wind scroll that I've been deprived of for like 20 years. Yeah,
this is going to change your life, man. And I'm glad you're here for the rest of these games, Steve, because I cannot read these. What do these say?
All right. The next one on our list is Oyako de Asobo Miffy no Omocha Bako, which translates to like play with parents, Miffy's toy box.
And I think Miffy is a German brand as well, but this didn't release anywhere but Japan. And it's basically a nice edutainment kids game. It's got a few little cool things you can do in there. But one neat thing is if you connect your DS via download play, you can just download a coloring book to the DS. And again, it's untethered from the Wii, so you can turn the Wii off and just throw your DS to a kid and let them color for a bit. It's just a free little untethered game.
Yeah, I can't imagine back then throwing my DS to a kid, but I also didn't have kids back then. I could imagine doing that now. In fact, I think my kid has my DS.
And these next two games have the exact same feature. So do you want to say both of their titles back to back? One of them is a very long title. So
yeah, these are very wordy titles, and I'll admit they outstrip my ability to translate. So I'm not even going to try. The first one is Shikakui Atama o Marukutsuru Kanzen Seiha Wii, and the second one is Zaidan Hojin Nippon Kanji no Ryoku Kentei Kyokai Konin Kanken Wii Kanji o Kete-sen, which, wow. I need to see the box art for that one, because that is a mouthful.
Yeah, I can't comprehend any of that. But basically, in these, you draw kanji on the DS. So it's they're educational games, and you can like use the Wii remote to draw if you want to. But if you connect to DS, you can play the entire game with the DS as a controller, and it's just way easier to draw those letters and have them be recognized on the DS than it is the Wii.
Yeah, if you've never tried to write kanji, it's not easy. Kanji is one of the few writing styles where there's a prescribed stroke order to writing them. Like, obviously, if someone tells you write A, most people are going to do that the exact same way, but no one's going to come at you if you did the lines out of order. With kanji, it's very important that you write them, the correct way, like down to up, right, left to right, and kind of vertically in order. Like there's a thing called stroke order with kanji, and all these games are going to make sure that they're going to judge you if you use incorrect stroke order. So I would not want to do that on a Wii remote. Like, these games are definitely actively better by letting you use the DS touchscreen as a controller.
And thankfully, these next titles are simple. I can read these ones. This is the Simple 2000 series, which had a few releases on the Wii, but Volume 1 and Volume 3 had DS connectivity, and it's very similar again to Clubhouse games. This one's called The Table Game. This is Volume 1, and it's stuff like, it's solitaire. It's just like regular card game stuff. And if you want to, when playing in multiplayer, connect some DSs, and you can't see what people's cards are. So ahead of its time, to be honest. And Volume 3, very similar. You've got Texas Hold'em. So this is more the casino one. This is called the Party Casino Pack. And you've got a bunch of casino games, and using your DS, hide your cards. So logical, cool. Clubhouse Games did it.
Yeah, these are very simple things that just make sense. I think that this is, again, pretty standard stuff, but cool to have nonetheless.
Yeah. And then our very last one, another Japan-only game. This is not even a game, it's a channel, Wii Room. So Wii Room was kind of like just this hub on the Wii that you can connect to, and you can watch little like trailers and movies you can buy with your friends, just kind of like a little hangout space for your Mii. And if you wanted to, once you've got a video up, you can just send it to DSi. This wasn't download play though. DSi in Japan, via DSiWare, had a Wii Room receiver app, which you had to download, and then the reason this was DSi only is because DSi had an SD card slot. So these video files would have gone way over download play's budget. So if you had Wii Room and the Wii Room receiver on DSi, just send some videos over. And this would be locally on your DS, so you can turn your Wii off, watch them whenever you want. So pretty cool. And this is a channel that never came to the West.
Yeah, there's a tiny bit of GVG lore with Wii Room, actually. Our podcast that we do every week, The Week in Nintendo, has been using the Midnight theme from Wii Room as its outro music for the last 2 years. Everyone always asks what it is. It's from that.
Yeah, there's some banger songs in here. So the song that plays when you're sending a video over to DSi is also pretty cool. Never heard that until now. It's nice just discovering more of those Wii songs that we never really heard before, because the Wii's system soundtrack is so iconic, from the Wii Shop channel to the Mii Maker. But there's more of those out there, just a bit more obscure.
Yeah, they're hiding in plain sight. Like a lot of this stuff, everything on this list was stuff that, had a lot of us had Wiis and had at least one of these games on this list and just didn't know that this stuff was available for us to mess about with, and kind of just makes me want to dig out my Wii and my DS and go, relive some of these in a way that I hadn't before. Man, my one disappointment is that Trauma Center wasn't on this list. I would have loved to use the DS as a controller for that, but such a cool list of games. Such a really it's such a ubiquitous feature that Nintendo just really didn't tell us about.
No, and that is every single game we've talked about. So yeah, some of them are cool. Some of them, like using the DS as a controller, especially when you get the touch inputs or your own screen. I think that's kind of the best stuff out there. But there's also just interacting with save files across different games or crossplay with Puyo Puyo. That's neat. I think the least cool stuff is when you have to own 2 copies of the game. You just kind of get like a small little unlock. Like in a Geometry Wars, they are the exact same games. So having just like a bonus galaxy kind of feels like, pay us to get more stuff. But otherwise, I think there's some really cool features in here. And some of these games go beyond what GameCube and Game Boy Advance were doing. But they won't really ever get the recognition for that.
Yeah, this is a weirdly forgotten footnote in Nintendo's history that could have been so much more. I mean, because a lot of the functionality here is, like you said, it goes well beyond what Nintendo was doing in the previous generation, but they just really didn't want to let us know. And I think that this would be more widely regarded as the cooler of the two sets of features if more people knew about it. So you're doing a public service job by letting us all know.
And thank you for being here. Tell me read Japanese, because I would be struggling. I'll still be recording this video now if you weren't here. So thank you, Steve.
I'm glad to have joined.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We've also got our live audience in this box down there. They've been here this entire time listening to us record. They've heard it way in advance. So while they haven't seen all the video clips yet, they are aware of the games. And if you want to join them while we record any of our discussions, you can. You can catch it before anybody else in the world live, before we even edit them. And they are the most beautiful people in the world. So go join them on our Patreon. And we will catch you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.